Hello, welcome to a new video. So today I thought I would share some of the ways I'm getting myself organised for 2024. It's been a slow, gradual easing into the year for me, but I'm finally starting to fill in my bullet journals and reflect on last year and think ahead to 2024. So this might be helpful, maybe give you some ideas on things to try if you're looking to get a little bit more organised this year. Now, my methods of course are not going to be ideal for everybody. I am very much a pen and paper person. You might be a whiz at Trello or other online or on your computer type organising apps and things, but I can't help you with those at all. So I'll tell you straight up, if you are a digital planner, then I'm not going to be any use at all. So that said though, some of what I might say you could take over into your digital planning and stuff. So the first thing I'm going to mention, because I only started this yesterday evening, it's called Year Compass, and you can look this up online. Just Google Year Compass and it will come up, and this is a free thing you can download. We printed it out yesterday. I've been joining Sarah Tasker's group to fill it in. We started on Zoom yesterday, and this is really interesting because it just reflects on the last year first of all, and then looks ahead. It asks some very interesting questions that I don't normally put in my bullet journal. So it's got like these sections here. This is what my last year was about, and it's got things like personal life and family, friends and community, career and studies, relaxation, hobbies and creativity, mental health and self-knowledge. I thought self-knowledge was an interesting way of putting it actually. Physical health and fitness, habits that define you, and then a better tomorrow. What did you do this year to leave the world in a better shape than you found it? That was quite a tricky one to answer, but somebody did mention that if you share your writing or your art or things with whatever you're making, then you are making the world a better place, because that might impact somebody in a way that you don't realise straight away. And I did think that actually making my videos, I've had some nice comments where people have said that my videos have helped them through a difficult year and things. So I think, yeah, that gives me a really nice feeling actually, that these videos are, you know, or can be a nice escape for you, or perhaps giving you inspiration. Hopefully you relate to one of those. Anyway, so if you'd like to have a look at that, then that's just free on the internet. 6 sentences about my past year, the wisest decision I made, the biggest lesson I learned, the biggest risk I took. I mean, these are different questions, aren't they? You don't usually come across these things. Who are the 3 people who influenced you the most? So I included in this one Melanie Chadwick, who I met in Cornwall in her exhibition. You might have seen that video. I just called it I Met Mel Chadwick. Yeah, she has definitely influenced me. I've got my sketchbook and I've sat outside to do sketching, which I've never done before, and that is a direct result of watching her YouTube videos. And I've written Ellie Milan. She is the main founder and teacher of the art course I'm doing, so naturally she's going to be a big influence on me. And I also wrote Beth Kempton. She's an amazing writer, and oh my goodness, she is just the, how do I describe it? It's like calm and wise. Sorry about the noises in the background, I've got the dog in here with me today. And she's just so full of, oh dear, this is terrible. The words aren't coming to me. This is why I'm not a good speaker. I'm a much better writer than I am at speaking. Yeah, she's just so full of, I can't think of a better word than loving advice, and you just feel like she really cares about you, that you've never met her. She's just been doing an online writing retreat, which I have not had time to do yet. I'm going to catch up on those though, and she does those seasonally, so do sign up to look up Beth Kempton, and if you're interested in writing, then I highly recommend her work and her offerings. She's so generous with what she offers for free. I've also bought her book The Way of the Fearless Writer, which I've started, and I think it's amazing. I'm going to make sure I make time to finish that book this year, soon, hopefully. Anyway, so that was an interesting question. Who's influenced you? And then it says, who were the 3 people you influenced the most? I thought, oh, I mean, that's a difficult one. Anyway, so I'm rambling on about this now, but some really interesting questions if you want to have a look back and help you plan your future year. Let's get on to the nitty-gritty. What is it that I'm actually using? So I have a daily list book, and I have done forever. So I always choose a page per day diary. Up until a couple of years ago, I've been using WH Smith. They cost about £12. I started to notice that they were falling apart. The spine was falling off every year. And then they also decided to make a little cost-saving exercise, and they changed their Saturday and Sunday to half a page. Well, I am just as busy, if not more busy, on Saturday and Sunday, so I need that space. So last year, oh, let me just get it. So last year I tried the Paper Blanks page per day diary. A bit different because it's actually got the times of the day throughout the day, which I actually did find useful to help me keep track, although quite often I end up using the space on the right for extra lists or whatever. It's got a little bit of a tear here, but it lasted pretty well. But the main problem was it was so heavy. It was heavy to carry around, and this goes with me everywhere. I take it to bed with me in case I come up with ideas and things I need to remember. My problem is I just don't remember. If it's not written down, I'm not doing it. So everything has to be written down. So I do need a full page per day. This year I was panicking slightly because I hadn't chosen one. The Paper Blanks used to do a softback version of this, but I couldn't find it this year, so I was getting a bit to the wire with finding my 2024 book, and in the end I spotted one in Tesco's that looked quite nice. I just like the little butterfly at the top. They had quite a few designs to choose from, and it was only £5, so I went with this one. We have a full Saturday, a full Sunday, so that pleased me. And the page is also divided into a to-do spot and a notes spot, but I thought I would use the to-do spot because this basically is my to-do list on the left. I thought I'd do my meal planning in this little space, and in my notes write things that are the most important things I really mustn't forget to do that day, or appointments, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a little bit different. And there's also monthly budget and there's some meal planning space at the front, holiday planning space. I thought it was a little bit different, and so far so good. But it is the bullet journal that keeps me on track throughout the whole year. I've done bullet journal videos before. If you're interested in having a deep dive go into bullet journaling, then I will try and find them here and put them up in the corner. And I think I go into quite a lot of detail about everything I used to plan and track. So 2020 was my biggest planning year, and I've just found, there it is, yeah, my 2020. This is just the second half of the year. I was tracking so many things and planning everything quite minutely that I actually divided my year into 2 books, and this is just the second half. I've been paring that back more and more each year, and last year it was quite pared back. So I used this book from Perfectly Penned. I like the paper, and I like the fact that the numbers...
Okay, here's Big Fart. That was a smelly one. Do you want to hear me fart?
No.
Okay, just say cancel. If
Cancel?
you have had enough farting for the day, or say random to keep the toots coming.
Cancel!
Alrighty.
Oh my goodness. What the actual... How bizarre. I'm sorry for that very rude interruption from Alexa over there. Wow, that was odd. Right, that's thrown me off my stride. I used to do a proper bullet journal with the dots and make grids for things, but I actually found that I was happier organising on a lined notebook. So I just use an ordinary line notebook, but it's numbered, which helps me just plan out how many pages I've got for each month and that sort of thing. So last year I had, hello 2023, a couple of pages about my word of the year. I wrote my big goals, then I did objectives for me, for Threads of a Fairy Tale, my clothing business, for by Helen Hobden, that's my Etsy shop where I sell my crafts and things. That's more or less closed down now. I wouldn't worry about going to have a look. There's only a couple of things on the shop just to keep it open. And helenhobden.co.uk. I was hoping to start last year, but that didn't happen. YouTube. Now this is empty. This is quite empty because I thought I was going to stop YouTube. I did. That was when I was really, there were hardly any videos at the beginning of last year, if you remember. And yeah, I was seriously contemplating stopping. So that's why there's not much written on there. Patreon, there's a little bit about that. When I Grow Up, that's the name of my blog website. That's not really updated anymore. Every now and then I sort of think about whether I will revive it because I miss it, I enjoy it, but I don't really have the time. And then I've got my creative writing. This is about the novel I'm writing. Then I've got a couple of pages about Instagram. And if you notice, some of it is written in purple, some is in blue. I assign a colour pen to all the different things, and that really helps me, and I'll show you in a minute where it helps me the most. I've got a page for TikTok and Reels, Pinterest, Facebook and Twitter, and then I've got a page about what I wanted to achieve with the house, general reminder, and then we get on to the planning, so quarterly plans. And then after that I've just written a career musings, plans and everything else, and this is where I just brain dump basically. If I have any ideas for future projects, if I'm struggling with something and I want to work through it and it's career related rather than personal related, then this is where I write it. There's quite a lot of space for that, so that's nice. And then at the back, this is where I do my sort of tracking and other bits of planning. Okay, battery ran out. I have to try and remember where I was. Oh yeah, I was showing you like how I organised the month. So I had 2 pages for plans, 2 extra pages for notes, which obviously didn't use that month, but sometimes I need, sometimes if I've got a lot going on, I plan everything out week by week, which I might resume, I might do that. I sort of stopped because I just couldn't be bothered to write it down every month. But I think this time I might make the effort to do an actual weekly, even if it's just like the 3 main things I want to get done that week to keep me on track. I feel like I've lost track a bit this last year. Then I have a daily log, and this is where the different coloured pens come in really handy. So I use blue for YouTube and blogging and anything sort of related to that, including Instagram, and I use purple for Threads of a Fairy Tale, which again, anything to do with that, marketing and Instagram and that sort of thing. I use turquoise for everything to do with the art course I've done and anything arty crafty. I use black for personal and home stuff, and I use green for the creative writing. And so I can look quite quickly and I sort of log the time I've spent on all these things each day, and that's what that page is there. And then so it just helps me, like if something's not gone well, I can look down this and think, oh well, that's because I only did it a couple of days that month, or that's because my focus was obviously on something else that month. And then I do a review, I write achievements, what wasn't so good, general thoughts and moving forward, and I do that every month. Then I move on to the next month. So that's pared down a lot from the monthly things that I used to do. And then I have a bit more space for each quarter review, and I look back each quarter at my big goals that I wrote at the beginning of the book and see how that's going and any changes I want to do. And then right at the back of the book I also have a productivity and growth tracker. And I keep a note of the numbers of YouTube subscribers, Instagram followers, patrons, blog. I might drop the blog because it's not that relevant anymore. But I used to track the blog sessions and page views, email subscribers, Etsy views, Etsy visits on the Threads site on Etsy, and then the Threads Etsy session. What do you say? Etsy. Then the Threads website sessions and views, and the email subscribers for Threads of a Fairy Tale, and Threads of Fairy Tale Instagram, and also keep a note of sales as well for each month. And then underneath that, as a sort of afterthought, I thought actually let's track the productivity so I can relate the productivity to the growth. So I track how many videos I did that month, how many YouTube shorts, how many Instagram posts, and then I've got a little section for Instagram activity. So how many whether I've been doing a lot of stories. I don't track exactly how many because I lose track of that, but generally, have I done just a few or a lot, that sort of thing. Have I been commenting, and yeah, that sort of thing. How many blog posts, emails sent. And if you're wondering, it's not been many emails sent. I'm going to talk to you more about that very soon. Yeah, so that's that, and I do one side that was related to YouTube and the blog, and then the other side is related to Threads of a Fairy Tale, so I track everything for that as well. Phew, there we are, and a few pages at the end for my yearly review. So that's that. That was last year's. Now I'm showing you last year's. I don't think I did a setup video for last year's, because like I said, I didn't do very many videos at the beginning of 2023. But this year I nicked a book that the kids weren't using. It was one of theirs, and it's just, I thought it was a nice book, and I thought if I don't use it, this might not get used now. And yeah, so just to avoid buying something new when I perhaps didn't need to, I've nicked one of their books, and it's just a really nice cover. I really like it, and it's got written in the stars written on it, and some like rose gold stars over the navy cover, and it's got a nice feel to it as well. So the only disadvantage of this is there's no numbers. I might have to go through and number the pages just to help me there. So I've just been writing out my objectives, sort of my main things I want to achieve this year for each of the things. Again, each aspect, because I can't seem to focus on just one thing at a time. So yeah, that's how I have begun. I'm quite behind because I haven't even started my daily log yet, so I need to get on to finishing this off. And as I do, I'll film it and show you as I go. And also I mentioned my word of the year. I didn't talk about that last year. It was one I felt very awkward about because it was very personal rather than career related. I decided last year, you may have picked up on this, but I decided to almost have a year off. Burnout is easy to talk about when it created success. When it doesn't create success, but you did a fuckload of work. Sorry, I'm a bit sweary lately. It makes you feel like you don't deserve that time to recover. And I know people talk about burnout a lot on podcasts. I don't know if that's in your bubble. I listen to a lot of creative business podcasts, and they talk about burnout a lot. And I didn't think I did until it wasn't something that I had really considered for myself. Again, because when you listen to these creative business podcasts, success came out of all that overwork. And now they make sure they have time for themselves, they take their holidays, and it's like, well, it always feels to me a bit like they are advocating for burnout because it got them what they wanted. They achieved a great deal of success from all of their hard work, and yes, okay, it created burnout, but now you're taking holidays, so it's all right in the end, isn't it? I know I'm being a bit flippant, and I apologise if you've had quite serious burnout that's made you ill, because I know it can be quite severe. So I'm sort of apologise for my flippancy, but I hope you understand a little bit of where I'm coming from. And then sort of last year, I thought, look, I've just been piling on more and more and more work to try and make a go of things, try and make a success of my business ventures. Mainly I'm talking about YouTube. I wanted to be able to earn a living from YouTube from, I thought if I keep doing more videos, keep upping my game, doing like arty voiceovers, writing half of the script first, and you know, so I put a ton of work into YouTube, a ton of work into Threads of a Fairy Tale, and sort of last year I thought, okay, none of that worked. Let's take a little bit of time out. And I was supposed to be in January last year, I was supposed to be taking a year off to deal with the home, to get the house a bit back on track, because with all my time spent trying to make a go of things, the house had really got neglected. So last year was meant to be all about sorting out the house and also writing my novel that I mention every now and then, that I've been writing for about 10 years now. And then my brain, being what it is, thinks, oh, I know, I do an art course that takes 4 hours a day. So yeah, that year off plan didn't really happen, but it was still for me. The art course was still for me. I always wanted to be an artist. I always wanted to be a professional artist, and it was just not something that I ever thought was actually a possibility. And then I get sort of caught up with Ellie Milan, who I mentioned as one of my people that influenced me. She's a really good speaker, and she really makes you excited and built up for, yeah, you can do this, you can change the world with your art and all this sort of stuff. And I got caught up with it and I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go, and I'm still giving it a go. Still got to finish that course, but it is a bit of a dream. I don't know whether it's a dream that's going to come to fruition or not, we'll see. But it was still felt like a year. Last year was a year for me, and my word of the year was Queen, and it was sort of for that. It was for giving myself some time, looking after myself a bit better, and I did. I went swimming every week, I upped my dog walks, I ate much more healthily. Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't show because I have hypothyroid disease and my body doesn't like any of that, it just thinks I'm stressing it out. But I won't go into that now. My word of the year for this year is time. And the reason why, though I've got a variety of reasons why I wanted that as my word of the year, it's sort of partly to be aware of it again. So back in 2020, because I had a quick look at this bullet journal, I can't believe how much I used to get done in a day, particularly all the marketing and the social media marketing and all that sort of thing. I used to do like 3 Instagram posts a day, quite often a story as well, quite often a TikTok as well. Yeah, this is my social media tracker. I'd be on Pinterest every day, and you know, and this was for both my personal account and my Threads of a Fairy Tale account, doing Facebook posts, making sure I commented on other people's YouTube videos so that I hopefully would help people notice my name and bring people over to mine, you know, all that sort of thing. I used to do a lot, and I've sort of I've slowed down and down and down and down, and I realise now's the time this year to start picking it up and up and up again. Obviously depending on my health, that is very health dependent for me, but at the moment I'm feeling okay, especially considering how busy I was at Christmas and just before Christmas. But anyway, try and fit more into my time, be much more aware of where I'm spending my time, to stop procrastinating and wasting time. I did that a lot last year. Honestly, like, I don't understand it. I love doing art. I can't wait to get started on art. So why am I not starting it till 8 PM? It's bizarre. So this year I'm onto it. I'm not faffing around. I'm just getting on with things, and hopefully that's how I'm going to fit in the extra things I want to do this year. Yeah, one thing I'm going to stop doing is hoping I'm not going to need a nap. So I mentioned having hypothyroid disease. Yes, Merlin. I invariably can't get through a day without a nap. And it's one of those things that I'm, you know, if I was seeing a therapist, that would be, my emotions around that would have to be discussed. You know, there's a lot of shame in it actually. It's not, people think, oh, it's such a luxury to have a nap. I flipping well hate it. I would much rather be getting on with stuff that I need to do. To me, a nap is not a luxury. It's something that, unfortunately, I have to do in order for my body to work out that it's got to carry on going for the rest of the day. And quite often, I just put it off and put it off and put it off. And then I realise after about an hour that I've hardly got anything done because I've just been staring into space, or my mind drifts off like into a dream, or basically my body sort of shuts down and has no physical energy left whatsoever, or mental energy. Just a minute, Merlin. And I realised I'd have been much better off just not putting off the nap. Just go, have your nap. I only need 20 minutes, it's not long. That's enough for me to get back on with the day, and I just need to stop putting it off. Just go to bed, get up again, carry on. So that's another thing that why I've got time, because I do find if I get into that state of complete and utter exhaustion and tiredness, there's no point. You cannot push through. It is not possible to push through. So yeah, that was a reminder for me. Just go to bed, Helen. I just realised I was nattering on about word of the year and didn't really explain it if you haven't come across this concept before. But it's like, instead of having a New Year's resolution, you just choose a word that you want to guide you. I've done this for about 5 or 6 years now, and most of my words have been sort of career based really, but I tend to find ways and meanings to get them to work for what I want in my personal life as well. I've had change, I've had persevere, I've had courage, that was a good one. But I write how I want that word to relate to my year and to me generally, and I find that sort of word to guide you, it just helps better than a resolution, I think, where you're almost setting yourself up for failure. Not always, but can do. And it also means that rather than having just a thing that you feel like you need to get to quickly, you've just got a thing that will help you the whole year. Yeah, I've brought over Queen from last year because I don't think I was very successful at it as well. So there were reasons why I chose that word for myself for last year that I just didn't achieve. One of which being an evening routine where I do skincare properly. I'm moving that on to this year because I want to get that evening routine done where I stop work. I just can't stop work. I need to make sure that I stop work at 8:30, so that gives me a whole hour before Chris comes up from his work at 9:30. So I need to stop work at 8:30, clean my teeth, do my skincare, write my thankfulness journal, write my list for tomorrow and tick off the day's list for that day, and just generally write in my diary if I feel like I need to get things out of my head. So yeah, no, I was not good at that sort of thing last year, so I've sort of moved that one over. In fact, I've got 3 words. I've got queen, discipline and balance. So I added the balance to go with the discipline. Balance kept coming up when I was trying to think of my word of the year. It sort of kept coming up, but I thought, I don't think that's a word for this year, but it's a word to be aware of. Whilst I want to pick up my busyness, if you like, for this year, get on with career-based goals again, I want to be aware of that balance, mainly to avoid stress. I'm a bit of a stress bunny actually, and I just find sometimes I take the dog out for a walk at like 4 p.m. and I just realise I've been frowning the entire day. I must be getting lines here because I've just been constantly tense and a bit stressed, just low level stressed all day long. And then I take the dog out at like about 4 or something and I just realise it, and I haven't realised it until that point. And it's like, oh, I need to let go of some of the stress, figure out a balance. So that's why that word is there as well. And the discipline is there to again get me going, to get me like, okay, I don't feel like doing this, but I've got to do it anyway. I've got to get on with this. It's again to stop that procrastination. Even if it's just for things I enjoy, like art or gardening. Gardening is a weird one. The garden really got neglected last year and I love doing it, but for some reason I can't get started. So I'm just going to have the discipline, like, no, It's on your list. You're going to do it. You're going to spend an hour in the garden not doing work but getting the brambles done because you like having a nice garden, which leads into the queen bit. It's like, I deserve to have a nice garden. So I hope you understand now a bit about the word of the year. Let me know in the comments if you do a word of the year and what yours is if you're happy to share. Isn't that pretty? The sun is shining. It's amazing. So nice to see the sun again. It's freezing cold, but we needed some sunshine. So yeah, I have really waffled on a lot more and I've been a lot more personal in this video than I sort of expected to be. But there we are. That's the basics of my planning, and it was easier to show in that book because it was sort of page by page, whereas this one, being an A4 size, I've had to split pages up into different things, but it's more or less the same. The goals, the objectives for the home, objectives for my career generally, as an artist, as a writer, as a dressmaker. This is where I've written down my main goals, and then I've got YouTube, newsletters. They're going to be a big thing for me this year. I'm really going to work on them, but I'll talk about that a bit more next week, so please come back for that one. TikTok, Reels and Shorts, Instagram, and that's as far as I've got. So I need to carry on because there's things starting to churn in my mind, you know, as I'm getting going this year. Ideas are coming and I need to get them on the page or I forget them. Oh my gosh, it has taken me a while. A good couple of hours just to do this bit. Wow. Yeah, so I do recommend putting on a good podcast or some episodes on YouTube that you don't need to watch closely. Anyway, so this is my layout. I'll show you January. I haven't filled anything out yet, really. On one side I've got Hello January, obviously, and then this is the set of stuff that I copy from one bullet journal to the next, to the next, to the next each year. They don't change very much. Reminders of things that I could use as content if I'm feeling like writing a blog or doing relevant Instagram posts. I mean, at the moment I don't tend to do very much of that, but I want to still have it in the back of my mind. So for example, I've got January sales, New Year's resolutions, winter sun, word of the year. That is something I have made content about. Goal setting and planning, likewise. Journals, notebooks, organisation, again. Tidying and decluttering, yeah, kind of unintentionally, but yes. Reflections, looking back on the past year. You know, just these things don't change every year. Just sort of reminders that this happens in January. Then I've got a general to-do page, and then the next page I have actually set out week by week, which I stopped doing, but I've gone back to it. What I find this really helps with is being realistic. So I can write my to-do list here, and it probably will end up right to the bottom of the page, and then when I try and actually fit it in to the weeks and I realise, oh hang on, I haven't got 20 weeks in 1 month. Let's dial it back a bit, and there should be plenty of space here to break down each thing that I want to do each week into small tasks, so that again I can be realistic. So if I can only do 1 or 2 small tasks per day, I know, you know, it's easier to track your limits basically when you've done this. Then I've got my log. I use a half-hour sand timer to track how long I do most tasks. Sometimes I forget, particularly for things like art projects and writing. Hopefully 1 line is enough, because on my smaller bullet journal I had 2 per day. My review pages go what went well, what didn't, notes moving forward. I think I might have said that when I was showing last year's. And that's it, that's all I've got for each month. Other things that are different, got a section for future goals, things I don't want to forget but aren't for this year. Affirmations, just to remind myself to think positively basically. Then underneath those I've written a mission statement of how to get there, of how to reach all those things. That's going to be helpful for, yeah, staying positive and having a sort of plan of how to do that. I've also written a page here for planning the whole year, so you can see an overview which I've broken up into months again to help me realise, oh okay, you can't fit 50 things into one quarter of the year. Break it down into months and you get a bit more realistic. Even so, I know some of this is quite ambitious. And it also makes the year feel very small. I have to admit that I do find this a little bit scary. I've got so many plans and goals and ambitions, and you only have two pages to do it. This will be more as I go along. I'll get more of an idea of what's coming. Really not much is planned for the rest of the year. So that's that. That's as far as I've got. Okay, well, Rain is about to walk in with Merlin, so I shall leave that bit there.
Sorry.
Okay. And if you were thinking that that's it, then you're wrong. That is not it at all. On top of that, I have for organising. I'll run through these quickly because I've been waffling on for ages. This is my YouTube planner book. This is where I write any scripted bits. This is where I write what I think I'm going to be filming, what I still need to film to finish the video, whether I need to add any little bits because I forgot to film something or I didn't press record. All of those little bits go in there. If I have musings and I want to write things through for YouTube generally, rather than specific videos, that goes in here. This is my art career book. Any notes about that go in here. This is my home book. Any notes about that? Keeping track on who I've got quotes from, where I've seen things that I want, where there's been a good price for things, little plans of rooms, that goes in here. Notes about threads of a fairy tale go in here. This is my commonplace book. So this is my little notebook I keep with, well, this actually started in 2021 as my personal bullet journal, because I used to separate my work bullet journal from my personal bullet journal. So that's how this book started, but it sort of fell by the wayside, and obviously not wanting to waste a notebook, I decided to just carry on and use this as a commonplace book, which is where you just keep track of anything that might be useful. So I do my holiday planning in this book, so that if in the future I go back to that place, so like last year we went to the Cotswolds, never been there before, so all of my notes about that and where is dog friendly, where we could park, where we can eat, things like that, that goes in here. I've done my notes on my accounts in here. I've kept a bit of a health diary in here, if there was anything I was concerned about, that sort of thing. I planned my Glastonbury lineup in here. Yeah, then there's Cornwall planning. Anything else that I might want to reference in the future goes in here. Oh, there's a ladybird crawling along my book. Was that on my head just now? It's just suddenly got an itch. Apologies if you were distracted by ladybird on my head. I'm not sure. Anyway, I feel like this video is long enough. Let me just consult my YouTube book to see if there was anything else I was meant to include in this video, or whether it was going to be entirely no. So this is video number 4 for 2024. To give you an idea, I've written the title that's going to go in the thumbnail, the title that's going to go in the title description line, and some words that I feel might be picked up in searches in the description. And I've just said get B-roll of doing bullet journal. And so B-roll, if you're not familiar, is the little clips that I will put in as I'm talking. So they'll go on my timeline, on my editing timeline. I just pop them on top and you'll see that instead of my face. I'm a bit worried that there's going to be too much of my face in this video. I've been chatting a long time. And I've written plus any small vlogging clips, because I stopped doing this kind of video where I just talk about one thing, but I think this is going to have to be an exception because it's going to be quite a long video now. So I hope this has helped. I hope it's inspired you to get organised for 2024. I hope that, if nothing else, I've given you permission to have lots of notebooks. Because yeah, lots of notebooks is nice. Let me know in the comments if you've been getting yourself organised for 2024 and how you're doing it. Do you plan everything? Do you write it down? Or do you just live your life and not worry about all this sort of thing? Sometimes I wish I could do that, but I don't think I could. Not now. It's been too many years of doing this, reviewing and planning. I don't know if I could just not do it, but let me know what you do. That'd be quite interesting. And I will see you again very soon. I hope you have a great week. If you know anyone that you think might like this video, please send them the link. Maybe share it on your Facebook page maybe. That would be really helpful and I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye.